I want you to think about something. What is the most important scene in your story? What scene has the most impact, the most wow effect? Have you found it? Then give it the biggest panel, or even a spread. Similarly, there's usually a big background panel at the beginning of a story, showing the reader where the story is taking place. Questions and thoughts like that are an important part of the planning process, and it will help you fill the panels and tell the story the way you want to tell it. In this lesson, I will talk to you about basic panel content. Establishing shots. In these shots, you establish your location and provide information. Where does the scene take place? Is it a city, a village, a forest? What time of year is it? Is it day? Is it night? How is the weather? Is it even Earth, another planet, another dimension? Is it the present, past, or future? A shot like that can provide a lot of information visually so that your reader can place the story. Also, this type of shot can be combined with exposition. Exposition. In the exposition, the situation is explained with words. It may mention the time, place, or inform on the character's identity or the theme of the story. Try to keep it as short as possible. Wide shot. It goes closer to the characters, shows them and their surrounding, shows what is going on, how they interact with the world. Who is the story about? The nearer you get to the character, the more you can show their body language and facial expressions. Action. Dynamic panels, tilting perspective. When drawing action scenes, not only is it recommended to use more dramatic perspectives, energy-laden poses, and effects like speed lines, but also dynamic panels, tilted horizon, open panels, and spreads. How to choose a perspective. Low angles are used for dramatic scenes. High angles give you an overview of the surroundings, but they also can be used to create drama. While most panels are at eye level, avoid one-point perspective with the vanishing point smack in the center. Such perspective looks unnatural. Put the vanishing point slightly to the side. Hierarchical proportions and paneling. Important scenes get bigger panels than less important scenes. You can even use spreads over one or a double page. Let's imagine a scenario. Your character is reading a book in the library. Suddenly, a T-Rex barges into the room, leading to your character dropping the book. Which scene will get the biggest panel? Or possibly even a spread? Obviously, the T-Rex barging in. Because should the part where they drop the book get the biggest panel, it would confuse the reader by giving too much attention to the book, unless you want to draw attention to the book because it is a book about summoning dinosaurs. Close-ups. Avoid using too many close-ups. Close-ups mean that the camera goes really close to the character, especially with close-ups that use big panels. Use them for the most important scenes and for the most important dialogue. Atmosphere panels. Sometimes panels are used that are not essential to the story but that provide it with an atmosphere. Like with nature shots, you don't have to draw an insect crawling over a leaf, but if the story is taking place in spring and summer, it can enhance that feeling of nature and of season. Another variation is when you are using a wide shot in the middle of the story, not because you need to show what's going on, but in order to convey a feeling of the scene by dramatically posing your characters in the environment with a carefully chosen perspective and lighting. Effect, emotion panels. Effect or emotion panels are used in order to emphasize things that are being said or thought. Instead of just using simple text, speed lines and screen tones or hatching can be used in order to convey a sense of urgency or show a feeling. Dialogue panels. They are moments in stories where there is less action but there's a lot of information that has to be passed on, or where emotional bonds are established. Depending on how much space you have, you can use small panels or have the characters interact with their environment, giving unspoken hints through their body language. it is important to show reactions to what is being said. Open panels. You don't have to confine your characters exclusively to boxes. In certain scenes, you can make the character stick out of the box. For instance, when one panel is simply an open text panel and you have a character stick out of the box into the text panel, you can show that the thoughts belong to that character. It can be done for additional emphasis or to create a pause. When to spread and when not. Use spreads for important and impactful scenes, but don't use them just to increase the page count. Breaking the mold. In order to give your page a more dynamic feeling or enforce the reading direction, you can move the panels up and down, open them or make them expand. As long as all the text stays in the safe zone, everything is peachy. For instance, you can expand the first panel of the page up. It works well with images of the cities where there's a lot of sky. By expanding the panel up, you signalize that this is really the first panel and the reader is automatically drawn to it. Similarly, by making the last panel of the page go out of the page, particularly on the left page in the Japanese reading direction or the right page in the Western reading direction, it enforces the reader to flip to the next page. It is good to use in dramatic situations. In dramatic situations, you can move the next panel slightly down in order to give it a more dynamic look. Tilting the horizon by a few degrees can strengthen the dynamic even more.